Born in Kiev in 1946 during the Soviet era, he rose to prominence by building a vast international criminal network that operated across Russia, Europe, and North America. Unlike many crime bosses who relied on violence, Mogilevich was known for his intelligence and financial expertise. Law enforcement agencies believed he controlled complex operations involving money laundering, stock fraud, arms trafficking, and energy market manipulation worth billions of dollars. Because of the sophistication of his financial schemes, the FBI once placed him on its 10 most wanted fugitives list.
The phone rings at 6:12 a.m. You let it ring twice before answering. People who panic pick up on the first ring. People with power choose when to respond. You lift the receiver. A nervous voice speaks Russian on the other end. There is a problem in Budapest. There is always a problem somewhere. A shipment delayed. A partner asking too many questions. A government investigation moving a little too close to the truth. But the tone of the voice tells you this one is different. The Americans are asking about you. You sit in silence for a moment. Then you hang up. Because by the time someone is asking about you, you are already several steps ahead. You grow up in the Soviet Union, where power is hidden behind official titles and empty speeches. The government controls everything: banks, energy, factories, trade. But you notice something early. The system looks powerful, yet it runs on paperwork, and paperwork can be manipulated. While others chase money through street crime, you study numbers, finance, trade, how companies move money across borders, how governments track transactions, more importantly, how they fail to. By the late 1980s, the Soviet Union begins to crack. The old system collapses faster than anyone expects. Factories are privatized overnight. Oil companies change hands. Banks appear out of nowhere. Everyone rushes to grab power, but chaos creates opportunity, and you move faster than most. You begin building networks across Eastern Europe, not gangs, systems, shell companies, financial fronts, import-export businesses. To outsiders, they look legitimate, but money moves through them in ways no government fully understands. Millions become hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions become billions. You aren't just running crime. You are designing an economic machine. By the early 1990s, your name begins appearing in intelligence reports. European investigators whisper it. American agencies write it into internal briefings. They call you something unusual, the brainy Don. Because unlike most organized crime bosses, you rarely use violence. Violence attracts attention. Attention invites investigation. You prefer something quieter, financial control. If someone becomes a problem, you don't threaten them, you bankrupt them. Your operations spread across countries: Russia, Hungary, Ukraine, Israel, the United States. Companies appear in dozens of jurisdictions: energy firms, trading corporations, investment funds. Each one connected through layers of ownership so complex that investigators struggle to understand who controls them. But you know. Every contract, every transfer, every shell account. You control the system, and the system moves billions. The FBI begins building a file. At first, it's thin, just rumors, names mentioned in investigations. But slowly the picture grows. Money laundering operations, stock fraud, energy scams worth hundreds of millions, illegal arms deals moving through Eastern Europe, and at the center of it all, you. Yet every time investigators try to reach you, they hit the same wall. You don't live like a typical criminal. No flashy cars. Your crime's too difficult to prosecute through normal channels. So they do something unusual. They place you on the FBI's most wanted list.
One of the most powerful law enforcement agencies in the world is now publicly searching for you. Your name spreads through international media. Governments issue arrest warrants. Investigators open new cases. To most criminals, this would be the end. But you remained calm, because the FBI has a problem. They are looking for a man, but what they are really chasing is a system. You rarely travel to countries where arrest is possible. Your operations move through trusted partners. Lawyers handle contracts. Businessmen handle negotiations. Accounts move through offshore banks. Every layer protects the one above it. And you sit quietly behind the structure, watching, adjusting, controlling. Years pass. Investigations come and go. Some operations collapse. Others quietly disappear. But the core network survives. Law enforcement agencies across multiple countries continue asking the same question. Where is he? Sometimes reports claim you're in Russia. Other times Ukraine. Occasionally Israel. But confirmation is always missing. Because the truth is simple. You are exactly where the system protects you. In 2008, Russian authorities briefly arrest you on unrelated charges. For a moment, the world believes the hunt might finally end. International investigators prepare evidence. Law enforcement agencies watch closely. But something interesting happens. The charges are minor, and within months, you are released. No extradition, no transfer to American custody, just freedom. For the FBI, it is frustrating. They spent years building one of the most complex organized crime investigations in history, yet the man they believe controls it all remains untouched. Not because the evidence doesn't exist, but because the structure around you is nearly impossible to penetrate. You didn't build a gang, you built a financial labyrinth. Today, investigators still study your operations. Law enforcement agencies still reference your name in reports about global organized crime. They say you may be responsible for billions of dollars in fraud, money laundering, and international crime. Yet despite decades of investigation, no courtroom has ever fully judged the empire. Because the truth is something most people don't realize. The most dangerous criminals aren't the ones who pull triggers. They are the ones who understand systems. And once someone learns how to control those systems, catching them becomes almost impossible. Somewhere in the world tonight, financial transactions move quietly across international banks. Companies sign contracts, investors move money, governments track numbers on screens. And buried somewhere inside that massive global system are the kinds of weaknesses you noticed decades ago. The same weaknesses that built an empire investigators still struggle to fully understand. And the man they once called the Brainy Don remains one of the most elusive masterminds modern law enforcement has ever chased.
Subscribe for more cinematic POV stories about real criminals, secret operations, and the hidden power systems that shaped history. New stories every week where you step inside the minds of masterminds like Frank Abagnale Jr., D.B. Cooper, and Semion Mogilevich. Hit subscribe and enter the world of crime, power, and secrets.